Hey guys, I'm back again and I'm here to do my April reading month wrap up. I can't believe we're already almost the middle of May. That is just crazy to me. Finding that hard to believe. But anyway, here we are. So the month of April was National Poetry Month. So I always try to read at least one collection. And I actually read two collections. So let's start with the first one. And this one was Nikki Finny, The World is Round. Now, if you followed the video that I did in April, I read a poem from this particular collection. And this is a poem that was called The Making of Paper, which is sort of like a poem that Nikki Finny dedicated to Toni Cade Bambara. Toni Cade Bambara was the writer of Gorilla My Love and The Salt Eaters. I haven't read Gorilla My Love, but I read The Salt Eaters. Very interesting writer and highly recommend. So, talking about this particular collection, let me just read to you what it says on the back, and this was written by Walter Mosley. A poem, when it works, is a rolling realization of ideas and emotion that takes you somewhere you've never been. Nikki Finny does that for me. Every now and then, I find myself in a room with a stage, and there she is, reading poems, pulling me out of myself and bringing me home. The World is Round opens all my doors and windows and airs me out with a cold and truthful wind. And I feel like that's exactly what it does. She has poems in here about all kinds of things. Family relationships, racism, talking about children, just everything. Even she has one in here, Jacques Cousteau is really good as well. I highly recommend this particular collection. It's a short one, but it's very accessible. You know, even if you're afraid to pick up a collection because you feel like it's not going to be accessible, this one is accessible. Nikki Finny, I mean, it's exactly what is written on the back by Walter Mosley. She has this way of opening all the windows and doors, you know, when you're reading. It's just really, really good. Highly recommend this one. All right. The next collection I got was gifted to me by the poet. And that is Something on the Inside. And this is by Karen Talley. So Karen Talley is our fave here, one of my faves here on YouTube when she's on YouTube. Most of the time she's over on IG. But her name over there and here is called Kay the Reader. And she wrote this poetry collection. And it is so good. Okay, now. This one is very particular. Oh, it's great. She signed it, autographed it for me. But what I liked about this, it's poetry that goes back from when she was a teenager up into a woman. And, oh my God, there are so many. I started marking some of my faves, and I just got swept up and could not, keep marking the faves because I was just swept up in the poetry. I love for example, The Simple Poet. I loved Love. I loved, let's see, this other one that I marked that I really liked as well. I loved Recipe. I also loved Time. Oh, there's just so many in here. The emotion in each poem is very indicative to that particular poem and indicative to the feelings that she was having at the age that she was. And you do feel like you go through ages with the different poems you're going to read in this book. I highly, highly recommend this one as well. This is very, very accessible poetry, very beautiful poetry. Kay the Reader is very, very talented with words. She does have the gift of gab. I'm just saying, this would be a great gift to give someone too who likes poetry, and particularly a great gift to give to mothers or female friends. It's just a beautiful collection. It's her first collection that she's published. And I say, congratulations, Kay. You did that, girl. This collection was fire. This is definitely a 5-star, this one. All right, now let's get on to the fiction novels that I read. So the first I'm going to talk about this one right here, which is Le Père Goyo. Now, this is one of the books from the collection from, this is one of the collections that's from Balzac. And I can't remember what number it is. I want to say it's number 23. But I'm not, I don't want to say, I think it's number 23. So this is the book that I read in French with my friend Anna. And this one was very, very interesting. This is a book that follows the main character who's called Père Goyo. And Père Goyo, we see him moving into a boarding house in Paris. And when he moves in, he seems to be okay money-wise. He seems to be somewhat well off. He's got nice clothes. He's moving into the boarding house on the bottom floor, because on the boarding house, when you're on the bottom floor, you pay the most, and when you're at the top floor, you pay the least. So we quickly realized that other people are moving into this boarding house, and they all have particular issues. But everybody seems to be focalized on the Père Goyo because he seems to be wealthy, but at the same time, he's always being seen with different young women. So a rumor is starting to spread that the Père Goyo is some kind of a sugar daddy or something, But very quickly, we realize that things aren't as good as they appear to be with the Père Goyo. The Père Goyo has 2 daughters, both whom have been married off to the men of their choices, and these men are both wealthy. One is an aristocrat, and the other one is a banker, if I remember correctly. So very quickly, we realize that even though they're married to these rich men, money is still somehow an issue. I'm just going to stop there. But this is a very, very interesting novel that discusses the appearance that you give off. Does that appearance really coincide with who you really are? It also talks about class and how the classes want to remain separate, particularly the upper class. They do not want to be married to any lower class people. And it also talks about this time period and how difficult it is for people to, live and get along, and how money seems to be the only issue that, brings people together or divides them. Now, the Père Goyo has a very interesting way of going about telling the story. There are other little sideline stories that happen within here to make the book feel more like you're getting more than just a story on the Père Goyo. You're getting a story on the people that are in this boarding house. This was a very nice surprise. I like this one a lot. I think I gave it like a 3.5, something like that, because there were some things that were a little bit off for me. Like, there's a death scene in here that lasts like 40 pages. How you got somebody dying over 40 freaking pages? But anyway, I digress. Yeah, I highly recommend this one. I think it was a good read. It was very good. All right, the next book I have on my list is The Bondwoman's Narrative by Hannah Crafts, edited by Henry Louis Gates Jr. Now, this was the Read So Lit Book Club's read for the month of April. This book was particularly, I don't know if it, I guess I could say it was difficult to a certain extent, because this was a novel that was written by the first novel written by an enslaved woman. And this enslaved woman was not educated. But we get here her story. So this is a fiction novel, but based on autobiographical incidents that happened to Hannah Crafts. Because what she does is she doesn't even try to sugarcoat by changing the names of the people that do some damage in this book. She keeps their same name, you know. So the thing is, the book is written in a very peculiar manner. It's not very easy to get into the story and to grasp these characters because of the way it's written. That being said, I think it's an important work because it is the first novel by an enslaved person. And I think also another thing is it's sort of like a dual kind of a story that she's trying to write. And Henry Louis Gates Jr. describes it as a mix of like a romance novel and like a historical fiction kind of novel. And he believes that she wrote that like that because the place where she was enslaved, there was a library there. And he thinks that she might have been reading a lot of these romance kind of novels. And this is the reason why it's kind of written the way it is. There's some things when you're reading that don't add up very well when she's writing the story. So something may happen and you're like, wait, how did they get there? Like, wait, why are they doing this? So it can be a little jarring at times when you're reading the novel, but I'm still not mad that I read it. I'm glad that I did because I think this is something that is historically important. And having read it, I'm happy to have read it. So yeah. Okay, the next novel I have on my list is this one that I read, which is James by Percival Everett. Can we get an applause? Pulitzer Prize, James. Yes. I wasn't sure it was going to happen, but I'm so glad that it did because I was going to lose all faith in literary prizes if it didn't win. Although I was kind of looking at it with a side eye when I saw that it wasn't even in the end running. I was like, why? Anyway, we'll talk about that on another video maybe. This book, I don't have that much to say about it because I know everybody has said a lot of things about it. But I really enjoyed the way Percival Everett decided to tell this story and how he was going to focus the story on James. So I read Huckleberry Finn for the second time last year. And so when I compared to what I read, I found it quite brilliant how he decided to use what aspects of Huckleberry Finn he wanted to use, he used. And he did it very well. And the focalization on language, I thought was pretty brilliant. Now, some people think because James speaks so-called proper English, and when he speaks proper English to white people, they say, why are you talking like that? As something that is derogatory, but I don't look at it as derogatory at all. As an African American, I think we all have had at one point or another where a white person has said to us, oh, you speak so eloquently. Like they're surprised. And I think this is what Percival Everett was, putting a focus on the fact of speaking AAVE is just as important as speaking, proper English. That not one is better than the other. What it does is both languages serve us when we need them to serve us. And I feel like that's what people have forgotten to focus on. It's got nothing to do with saying that AAVE isn't proper English. That is not at all what Percival Everett is trying to say. So that's my take on that. And that was one of the negative things that I saw people saying about the book. And I was like, why are y'all saying this? And it was a lot of people were saying it, and it was people that hadn't even read the book yet. So that's what I don't understand. But anyway, be that as it may, I loved everything about the book in the sense of, you know, the writing, the pencil, um, just the twists and turns of the story. It's so much better story than reading Huckleberry Finn. That's all I can tell you. They need to read this. They need to read this one in school and drop the Huckleberry Finn. That's just me. 5 stars. Excellent. Okay, now, last but not least, I read this right here. Yes, I read The Housemaid, y'all. I did not want to read The Housemaid, but we had to read The Housemaid for my Normandy book club last month. And I just was like, nah, it's a no. If you want to know what I thought about The Housemaid, you can go over and look at the video review that I did, which I'll link it below if you have not seen it. But yeah, it was a no, ma'am. It was a no, ma'am for me. Even on a light day, it was still a no, ma'am. So I'm not going to hold you much longer. This was my reading for the month of April. I'm not mad at it. It was a different kind of reading month, but it was still a very interesting reading month. And it was a valuable reading month. So hopefully this month will continue to be a good reading month as well. I'm doing well on my challenge. I will be coming back hopefully in the beginning of the month of June to give you an update on how I'm doing on my mammoth book list reading. Because we'll need to talk about that. Okay. All right. So that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye.